Native Instruments Summer of Sound sale is here, and I just want to have a quick video where maybe we have a bit of a conversation. I'm going to tell you the things that I use all the time that are on sale right now. It might be a good time to pick them up. And I'm also wanting to hear from you what questions you have about certain products. So maybe it's something you've been thinking about for years, and now is a good time to get it. A lot of things are 50% off. Updates and upgrades are 50% off. Of course, a lot of people are waiting for this time of year to pick up Complete for maybe the first time, or to upgrade or update an older version of Complete. Now is a great time to do that. You're going to get a whole lot of new things depending on the different version that you're upgrading from. So let's go over just a few of the really hot ticket items I think you should look at. I do have an affiliate link in the description. So if you want to help me out, that's a great way to do it. It really makes a difference, justifies me making these videos. And Native Instruments has done really well to take care of me over the years. So I'm super thankful that they got me as far as I am really on YouTube. And then a lot of other manufacturers jumped on board after I started making these kind of videos. Of course, I don't want to just make product videos. I've got some exciting stuff coming. I just spent some time in New Jersey and New York at one of the most famous studios in the world. So I am going to leave that there, but I've got some content coming up that I shot while I was there. Very exciting stuff, and definitely a direction that I'd like to take this channel in the future. So with that out of the way, if you want to help me out, go click that affiliate link and ask me questions. Let me know what you are wondering about in terms of any of these instruments and whether they're going to be valuable for you. Because someone might say, oh, I hate the Maschine expansions. They're such a waste of time. Other people find tremendous value in those Maschine expansions. Every person is different, and let me know, and I can try and help you out with whatever you're choosing and how it's going to make a difference in the music that you make. So let's just start right with Guitar Rig. It's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing that they have, and I use Guitar Rig all the time. So if you've never picked up Guitar Rig, it's a great effect. And unfortunately, I feel like they kind of pigeonholed themselves into just guitar with the name Guitar Rig back in the day. They didn't really think that, maybe we'll use this on bass or anything else, right? So you really can use Guitar Rig as just a huge effects processor for any kind of sound, whether you're trying to imitate guitar amps or not. And some people will say, oh, it just doesn't sound like the real thing. It doesn't sound like the real thing. But the thing for me with Guitar Rig is every time I use it on a project, I can then go back to Guitar Rig and dial back the distortion or dial up the distortion or completely change the guitar sound without re-recording the actual audio. So that is definitely a piece of software that I use all the time. I use it on my own guitars and on guitars of other players as well. Another thing that's definitely in a new niche for Native Instruments is the isotope stuff. I have been an isotope user way before I started any of this YouTube stuff, and I've continued to use isotope noise reduction. So I use noise reduction on my vocal files. Pretty much every single YouTube video gets a pass through the noise reduction and the click reduction. I got a really clicky mouth, and so I use that for cleaning up audio all the time. Doing post-production, definitely worth the price of admission right there. Those are the main ones I use for isotope though. Noise reduction, click reduction, declipping or declicking. So that's the isotope stuff. Expansions kind of started as something for Maschine. So you would have these loops and groups that would work perfectly in Maschine. And then they also brought them over to battery. So pretty much anyone can use them in battery. I've got a video that shows how to use them in Cubase. So I'll put a link to that in the description as well. So using the drum track in Cubase and using Maschine expansions, kind of an essential part of the way I work. Like recently I had to do a drum and bass thing. I don't know much about drum and bass. I like it. I listened to it, back in the day, but I found a drum and bass expansion that I already had, gave me great inspiration for a little piece of music that I then kind of had some informed drum sounds to reach for, right? So if you're doing that kind of composition, it's really, really useful. If you're into just hip hop and stuff like that, you go and click the hip hop expansions, you're gonna find so much great sounds in here already. And if you're looking at the different versions of Complete, of course, you're gonna see that the different levels come with more and more and more expansions. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the Cremona, the Stradivari cello. So let's go to strings under their instruments, and there's the Cremona ensemble. I use the Stradivari cello, Stradivari violin, etc. I use those 4 different instruments all the time, and they are some of the best solo string instrument libraries I've ever used. And they are very RAM intensive. Like, you'll load up a gig of samples if you load up one violin if you're not careful. So you do have to have a lot of RAM to run them. They also have a big sale on the orchestral libraries, the symphony series. I have always said that I'm not crazy about that orchestral library. I don't reach for it. I go to other libraries that I've purchased as opposed to the symphony ones. But could you make a world-class, score with those libraries? Of course you could. They're just, in my opinion, not the strongest ones, and they're quite old now. Our Session Strings Pro 2 comes with a lot of the versions of Complete, and I do use that one a lot. It's just a very simple one. These session guitarists and session bassists are something I use a ton right now. So I'm working on video game music, and I need music done very quickly. I can play guitar, I can play bass. I'm not amazing at either of those, but I can play them well enough to use in a recording. I can also play ukulele, and I've been using the session ukulele a lot lately, and mock up something and put some fake guitars, some fake bass in there, maybe fake ukulele, whatever it is, send that off to the clients, and then they can have a listen to it. And at that point, I'll decide if I'm going to redo the guitars, maybe just get a little bit more custom with it. But these virtual guitar instruments have come so far since the days of Steinberg's virtual guitarists. Shout out in the comments if you remember that one. And then the huge category that they've got is anything that falls under these contact instruments. And contact is a sampler. It's just playing back samples. Actually, recently it's got synthesis capabilities as well. These Play series instruments, 2 sets of sampled instruments that happen at the same time, and you get to sort of control what happens to them. Then they decided, okay, let's start making Play series instruments that have very specific niche or genres. And that's basically where we're at right now. And I love the Play series instruments. Not only are they kind of sample playback, but they have a sequencer built in, and the sequencer still does stuff that no other sequencer can touch. Again, it's more about finding sounds that fit certain genres. This Glaze one, or Glaze 2, really good for that sort of vocal hip hop stuff. Lo-fi Glow is great for lo-fi stuff, imagine that. And then they've also got drum instruments in Play series instruments. So there's 2 categories of Play series. You got instruments and you got drums. And 40's very own drums, for example, really, really hard sounding hip hop drums versus something like Butch Vig drums, where it's all just literally just raw rock sounding drum kits. The drum ones also have lots of loops built into them, but then you can go and customize them completely. And then the other category of instruments really is they're synthesizers. They're generating sound. So something like Massive X or the old Massive. You've got FM8 and Reactor and stuff like that. And of those synthesizers, the ones that I feel like I use the most would be Massive X. I love Massive X. I know it wasn't a big hit when it came out. It does some really unique things. Things like Ashlight and Straylight and Fables, those ones are great for soundtrack sounds, but they are kind of processor intensive. Anyways, it's a very good time to pick up Native Instruments stuff. I've got so many videos that go over and use all of these different things. So I'm going to put a whole list of different videos that you can go watch, maybe playlists of videos that you can go watch and see me work with all of these different libraries in action. If you want to see something specific, ask me in the comments. I probably have a video I can point you to. And again, just let me know if there's questions you have about which library to get. Tell me a little bit about what you do. Like, what kind of music are you hoping to make? And then asking about a specific library if it's going to be beneficial to you. And I'll be happy to help you out. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.